the end of last season, Alison Dubois, who's played by Patricia Arquette, is actually based on a real person who lives in Phoenix, Arizona, had a dream, which is what often happens with Alison. She had a dream about the future, and in this dream, her family had been completely massacred, and she was living alone in a small apartment. She came to realize that there was truth to the dream, that her family was actually in danger. At the same time, she discovered that she was suffering from a brain tumor. And she needed an operation, but they were very clear that if she had this operation, it might very well change the way she perceived things. She might not have these prescient dreams. She might not be able to see the future. So she delayed having the operation as long as she could in the hopes that her dreams would provide a clue that would allow her to save her family. Ultimately, she collapsed. And basically had no choice, was rushed to the hospital, had an operation, and in the course of that operation, she had a stroke. And that's where we left her at the end of last season. Miraculously, CBS picked up the show, and my suspicion is that she's going to pull through the stroke. But if it doesn't work out, you didn't hear it here. I got a phone call, I guess it was about 6 years ago, from the folks at Paramount, what's now called CBS Studios. They had been doing an afternoon talk show pilot and had been interviewing a bunch of people who claimed to be numerologists or psychics or all that sort of thing. And one person sort of stood out from the bunch, and she was this young 28-year-old woman from Phoenix, Arizona, who was working in the district attorney's office, studying to be a lawyer, hoped to be a judge someday. And they asked if I believed in that kind of thing and if I had any interest in coming out and meeting her. I was living in New York at the time. And I said, no, I didn't believe in that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to sit down and talk with somebody who genuinely believed they talked to the dead. So I flew out to California, she flew out to California, and we met. We had lunch. And the lunch went something like this. I said, tell me about your very first experience. And she did. She told me about something that happened to her when she was 6 years old. I said, tell me about your second experience. Tell me about your third. Tell me about your fourth. And we started to march through her life. And when she got to be about 14, she confessed to me that she started drinking because it was the one thing that dulled her perception of these ghosts, which she would see and could talk to everywhere. And I thought that was such a naked admission. I thought I was spellbound by that. Then she started to tell me about her family. She said, I'm married to a gentleman who's an aeronautics engineer. He's a physics major. He was going for his doctorate, I believe, at that time. And I thought, my God, what must that pillow talk be like? Here's a man whose religion is the physical facts of the world. And here's a woman who sees the world completely differently, who sees people that you and I would say aren't there. That really grabbed my attention. And you know, years ago, I was making a movie with Deborah Winger, and she said to me, she said, you know, everything you do is men and women. And I think it was that aspect of this story that really fascinated me the most. What must that marriage be like? What must these two people who have such different worldviews, how do they get along in the world? And they had 3 daughters. And how do they bring up those 3 daughters? What must that be like? And that, to a large degree, is what our show's about. I think the casting was everything. I wrote the pilot, and my girlfriend at the time read about half of it and said, my goodness, this is Patricia Arquette. And I thought, well, we'll never get Patricia Arquette. But a happy coincidence, I had directed a movie that was produced by the woman who actually managed Patricia Arquette. I wasn't aware of that, but once I found out, I thought, oh boy, I'm going to take advantage of this. Sent her the script, and I think literally 48 hours later, Patricia said yes, and I was sort of stunned. She's really the rock of the show, the soul of the show. And you know, we're lucky to have her. Certainly the thing I enjoy writing the most is the marriage, the improbability of it, the fact that it endures in the face of all these obstacles. As a guy who makes movies and television shows, what I enjoy, what I enjoy and what I hate at the same time is the relentlessness of it. It's this thing you always get to do, which is fantastic. It doesn't go away because this business is very transitory. So we have this wonderful rep company of fantastic actors and this group of terrific writers and a great group of editors and people behind the scenes. And I love that part of it. And I dread that part of it because it means every week you've got to come up with something new, something fresh. You have that responsibility to these people. And particularly when you're working with people like Patricia and Jake Weber, you have a responsibility to them as actors to give them something that they haven't done before, to constantly make it new. And that's very daunting. Very excited. Patricia's actually been saying for years that we should be on an hour earlier, which we're going to be this year, that she's constantly running into people who say, I want to watch your show, but I can't stay up that late, so I DVR it or I TiVo it. Now, hopefully, they'll be actually able to see it when we broadcast it. And it's great to be part of a lineup, you know, of shows that work. Frankly, most of the time that we've been on the last few years, we've been a little island by ourselves. You know, our fans and our viewers come to see us. They don't necessarily watch the shows that preceded us. So it's nice to be on a night with The Ghost Whisperer, which is a very popular show, and with Numbers, also a popular show, and both really good shows. You know, it's just nice to have that kind of company. The CBS audience can expect from Medium the same thing, hopefully, that the audience has gotten all along, which is to say you don't know what to expect. Hopefully it's always surprising you. We tell ourselves that what we're doing are sort of suspense and ghost stories for adults. And we're always trying to think outside the box. We always try and come up with things that haven't been done, things that excite us intellectually or visually or emotionally. And so I would also say, don't be put off if you've never seen the show and you're hearing, well, it's the 6th season. Gosh, that's awfully late to get in. It's not late on our show at all. Our door is always open. And the episodes are fairly self-contained. I think you could probably tune in and jump on board the bus almost any time. So I would encourage people, particularly CBS viewers who maybe have not experienced the show before, to give us a try.